This is much more better. Okay, good evening and welcome you our not the last meeting, but the last meeting when we discussing about course topics. Like I said, my proposal was last time that our final meeting, which will held in about the next, not the next, about the 2 weeks, we can arrange the first exam or test, perhaps more like a test. And if you had time to look at our course in Moodle, then you can see that I have put in here some exam questions. I critically looking for what was the main topics with which we have passed, and I hope that all these questions covered most of the topics and most of the theories and the questions I would like to give you during this course. And I don't know yet 100% how many questions I will add to the test, but not more than 20, perhaps something 15 to 20. So it means that not all the questions or not in the same way will go into the test. This is like the themes or topics or just questions which will help you to remind and study for the final test. And my proposal is that during next week, you can study or restudy all these material. The question will based on the slides and the articles mostly. Of course, perhaps some of the questions which based on some basic knowledges which we have passed during the course, but I hope that you will find all the answers from our course materials. And during next 2 weeks, I will expecting some questions and perhaps some kind of problems. If you have them, you can write me through the Moodle, and I will help you to detailize or show where you can find the right and correct answers. So don't hesitate to ask from me if you perhaps don't understand basically what the question is or what I mean if you're talking about some kind of these questions. But if you don't have any questions or everything is clear for you, then you don't need to ask from me or I don't know, control if you had understood correctly. This is the first organization questions. And the other is that please be sure that you have uploaded all your summer readings. Still, I got some questions. How many summaries you need to upload, or how many articles was in this course? So I repeat once more that we had 4 topics covered our course, and mostly we have 2. And the last one consisted 1 article. So it means that I will expect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 summaries. They can some of them you can add together. Let's take for instance courses or lectures number 1 to 3. All those consisted 2 articles. You can put together. But if you would like to, you can add 2 different summaries. I will read them during these next weeks. And of course, the test which will held in next time, not the final or the only one chance to pass the course, because in January, I need to add at least 2 possible options as well. So it means that if you don't want to make the test the next time, or you don't have the time, or you need to study more, then it's okay. So it means that you can expect the next deadlines in some January. I hope that during the next week I will inform you what is the exact time, and of course all the tests will held in Moodle. We don't need to meet each other in face-to-face, and it's much more easy for you and for me as well. So we can organize the tests only in interactive ways. And the like what to say criteria to pass the test is minimum 50%. So if we have at least 20 questions, for instance, it means you need to ask correctly for 10 of them. I try to make the test that every question consists the same amount of the points, but sometimes it depends. Sometimes some of the questions are much more easy than the others, so perhaps it depends. But at least 50% you need to write correctly or answer it correctly, and then you pass the course. And of course, you need to upload all these summaries. This is like the criteria. Do you have questions about this? About the test or how we finish our course or something like this?
So the next, like the first test time would be on December 16th?
Yeah, that's correct. I will open, we will meet again in here in the Zoom, so you can see me and hear my voice, and then I will show the right place, and I will open direct in 5:00 p.m. the test, and it will be open for the 2 hours, approximately 2 hours, I guess. It's okay. And then I will check it immediately. I try to make the test that you will see your final results immediately. So basically, I don't need to rewrite them. But if you had some kind of protests, you thought that your answer was correct, or perhaps you didn't catch the correct point of the question, then you in the same evening, or I don't know, day after that, you can write me, or we can discuss through the Zoom that you perhaps understood a little bit differently. Then we can discuss, and I will check it, your answer immediately. So I will open for the protest or the questions or whatever. Because sometimes when I put this kind of different version of the answers, so I never know how the students can think, and sometimes, yeah, the question was not so easy to understand, and perhaps you get the point a little bit differently, and then you can ask me, is it correct, or we can discuss about it. All the protests, all the questions, I will read it, and I will accept all of them if it's correct.
Perfect, thank you.
So why I'm doing in this way? Because it's much more easy when we make agreement that the test will held in the specific day in the specific hour. Because if we will have these meetings in face-to-face, then again I will offering you about 2 hours, and you will fill it in classroom. So let's play that we are right now not in classroom, but we are making the exam like usual. So that's why I'm offering the specific day and specific date. And again, if somebody of you says that I cannot manage in the 16th of December, then it's okay. I will give the additional time for you. So again, I see the chat in here. Yeah, the multiple choice of questions, all of them, that's correct. So you don't need to write something like I don't know, an essay or something like this. No, it's multiple choice. Basically, 2, 3, 4 different choices about answers, and you will choose the one of these. Or sometimes I will write that you will choose one or more right answers, but I try to make the test that the question is mixed only with one correct answer. This is much more easy for you too. Any more question about this test, like techniques?
I had a question in the last session.
Yeah.
You mentioned that we can submit what we have for the review questions in order for it to get commented on and such things. So I'm wondering, when are we going to do that, or is that still happening?
You mean that, just a second. We're talking about these exam questions, yeah?
Or the ones that were posted along every lesson?
Yeah,
those.
Yeah, I mean these exam questions. This is like summary of all these part of the questions. I don't add all of these, which we have put in here. It's like some kind of shortcut or something like this. So the question was that, can you share the answers about this, yeah?
Basically.
Yeah, how do you think that you can do it? You would like to share with me or with your student?
Well, last time it was suggested that we post them to the forum so that it could be commented on. So I think it was unclear whether it was meant by other students or by you.
Yeah, okay. This is possible way. So it means that, just a second, what kind of forum I will add? I can do it. It's not a problem. Just a second. What is the best way? Perhaps. Silent books and chat workshop. Okay, I can add a forum. How we display? Okay. Readability. Just a second. Readability attachment. Okay, how we can name it? What do you think? What do you suggest? What could be the name of the forum?
Exam review.
Okay, let's put. Okay, now you can try. Is it working or not? If you open the exam review, what the hell? Oh, okay. Add a topic question, discussion topics. Can you add some kind of new topics? Test it. What will happen? Is it working or not?
Yeah, it lets you do it.
It's working.
Yes.
Okay, good. We can try. So basically, how we can organize? You mean it that you will add some kind of questions or topics or discussion, and you will expect that I will comment it or says that is it you get the right point or not? You mean?
Yeah, that's what was suggested last time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's no problem. Yeah. I need to clarify. Only thing we need to put in calendar how suddenly I will do it, because perhaps not every day, but let's say that we have 2nd in December today. I can check it, let's say 2-3 times in a week, perhaps. Is it okay for you?
Yeah, this is fine.
Because perhaps I don't need to do it in every day, but not in perhaps once in a week is not very good as well. Okay, I will see in Saturday or on Sunday what you have add to here, and then during the next 2 weeks, I try to see and answer your comments or questions 2-3 times per week. So, and again, if you had some direct question, you can ask me through this Moodle as well. You can send me the email, or is it I hope it is possible. Okay, this is one option as well. So you can use this exam review, the topics, the questions, and then I will see, are you in the right way or not, okay? Today I had a plan that at first we go on with the last topics about international marketing, and then after that I will a little bit shortly summarize our course during our slides and focusing all these themes. So shortly I will go through all the slides and give the attention what perhaps the main aspects you need to understand or remember through this course, and all these themes are based on these questions, and I guess that I will ask in the test the same questions. So basically, we will finish today with the not feedback, but overview or all the course and through these slides. Okay, any more questions about the test and I don't know, some kind of question how we will finish our course, or you have some other specific questions? Not anymore. Okay, then perhaps if it's raising some kind of questions, you can put the chat as well. Let's go on with the international marketing topics, and last time we finished in here with some examples of global marketing. I hope we passed all these videos. I hope that was correct. Today we'll go on with like challenges or problems or some kind of mistakes if we're talking about international marketing, and this is much more interesting and funny if we're talking what kind of biggest errors we can see if you look at some biggest campaigns or ads or marketing failures, what the companies have done in previous years. But at first we will understood that all these kind of challenges, what we have talked about these cultural differences and political aspects and etc. If you're a marketer, global marketer, you need to understand that all the countries and all the cultures are so different. You need to not only focus, but you need to design your product and your marketing directed to this market you have chosen. But the problem is that it's impossible that you try to solve every single customer problems. You need to develop some kind of multiple campaigns and multiple profiles for each regions. And the problem is that everybody understood that we have approximately 200 different independent countries all around the world, but they are so different from each other. Even the neighbors, even the closest neighbors are sometimes so different. So it means that you need to at first understood the customer behavior. Then you need to perhaps build up some kind of local distribution networks, and then you need to understood that that there are some basic questions or basic aspects, the main aspects you need to figure it out. You need to take account, because if you making mistakes and you don't understood that in every countries they have perhaps their own language, or they have some kind of behavior patterns, how the customers are used to consume. So if you don't take these kind of aspects account, you can make huge errors. We can see and can read and we can show lots of huge amount of examples how the different countries are behaving so differently. Here I add only one example, that if you're talking about the internet shopping or e-shopping or e-commerce, it's based on the at first language, and then the other aspect is that how the people can use to think or use to use the internet shopping. So since the marketing have begun perhaps 100 years ago, the companies every day and every time they try to understand the customers, but the failures are like written in the pattern, because you cannot be sure how this marketing or the customers are behaving, how they like feeling and understood your message or your product. So, but at first, before we look at the closest to these mistakes, we need to again remember that the basic marketing is based on this model we call marketing mix. Usually we use the word 4P model. The 4Ps means that the marketing tool consisted the solution. We're talking about the product itself, the price of the product, the placement, and the promotion. Okay, if you look at them and you have perhaps some kind of competence about marketing, then you see the audience. You know that today the marketing manager is using not only 4Ps but 6 and 12, even 12Ps, means that the marketing mix consists additionally people, passion and things like this, package and etc. But the basic marketing mix model consists these 4Ps. And like I said previously, the international marketing is not so differently in tactics. If we compare the local market or some kind of international market, the difference is how we can focus on what is the questions and what is the challenges. If we need to fill or answer the question, what is the product, what is the price, and then how the promotion should be looks like. So it means that if somebody is talking about the challenges or the goals of international marketing, usually they will start with these marketing mix methods and strategies. And the difference or the questions, let's say, we start with the questions, would be that if we're talking about the product itself, the first question is, should the product stay the same in each market, or do we need to fit or redesign for the local tastes? Sometimes, like we previously said, that it's enough when the product is the same. Only perhaps we need a little bit change. I don't know, the colors of packaging or something, some small details. But sometimes we need to redesign all the product. Perhaps only the quality itself remain the same, but the way how it looks like, how it will be packaged, all these things need to be changed. The one is the, I don't know, not clever, but one important question is, what is the price of the product? If you look at around the world or even around yourself and how you can consume or how you be behaving as a consumer, then you can see that you usually buying lots of stuff in your everyday life. But if you visited some other countries or you will like buying some things through the e-shops, then you can see that sometimes the one product itself, the price of the product is so differently depending on which countries they will sell it. This is this question, why the price is so different, based on two different aspects. One is that how rich the consumer are in specific countries. It's normal that if we're talking about the richer countries, I don't know, Scandinavia, United States, and Central Europe, then we can see that all the price level is much more higher if we're talking about some kind of average price. So let's compare with these rich countries, countries from based on in Africa or Asia, then we can see that the same product is much more less cost much more less. Why is it that it's normal that if consumer are not so rich that they don't have so much money, it's normal that the seller cannot add so high a profit for the product itself. But the other aspect is that the people can behave or they expected the value of the product very differently. I can give lots of examples, but I will ask from you, can you give some examples about the product you have seen that it is the same in basic quality or in the basic what we expected from this product, but the prices are so differently if we're comparing the different countries. And it's not because only that the wallet is different, the consumer wallet is different, but it is different because some kind of cultural aspect. Can you give some examples? Do you like caviar? Are you used to eat caviar? Sure, Anna says sure, not used to it, but yes, okay. I don't know, Anna, perhaps you can say how much it will be cost in your, I don't know, home market, some small bottle. Is it expensive or not? You didn't buy it, okay. But Konstantin, is it expensive caviar in Russia or not?
Oh, yeah, that's actually depends where you buy it. Like, yeah, overall it's like can be, I don't know, like 100 grams for probably 20 years, something.
It depends, of course, if you're talking about the red caviar or the black caviar.
The red caviar. No, black caviar is way more expensive.
Yeah, that's right. But no, I haven't been in Russia for 10 years, but previously I worked in one company when we had the branches in St. Petersburg. I visited once in a month. In every month, I visited a couple of days. I stayed in St. Petersburg, and every time I bought the caviar, red caviar. It was quite cheap for me. But then I have visited whatever countries in Europe or in America, and then I can see that, oh, it's more than expensive than the gold. Why is that? Because people like the feeling is that some of the products are like luxury products, and in other countries it's otherwise. Let's take the second example of the vodka. I know that vodka in Scandinavia, in Estonia, in Russia, quite cheap. It's very cheap. You can buy quite quality vodka, I don't know, half of the liter, about, I don't know, 4 or 5 euros perhaps. And it's quite quality. It's not some kind of crap. But if you go to the United States, you need to buy, I don't know, 10 times more perhaps. I remember it was 25 years ago. I visited Paris first time. Our bus was parked close to the Eiffel Tower. And we came from very poor Estonia. We don't have very much money. And immediately when we parked on the bus, the local carabinier or the policeman came to us and says that, this is not the free parking place, you need to pay from this. I remember that we said that, we don't have very much money, but we have vodka. We had lots of these Stolichная vodka bottles, and we gave one Stolichная vodka for the policeman, and he gave us parking fee for the 1 day for free. Then I expected, what the hell? How it can happen? For us, this vodka was cheaper than the water. But then I visited some ordinary superstore in Paris, and then I looked how much the Stolichная was costing here. And then I realized, this is like not just quality product, this is luxury product from them. So what I want to say is that the price is not only the cost it's not a number of the cost only. It's not a number of the cost plus profit. It depends not only taxes and not only how rich the country are or how rich the customer are, but it depends on some kind of cultural patterns or the feelings or the like thinking patterns, that some of the products are more luxury and some of the products more ordinary. And it's very different in different countries. And of course, you need to understand that in every country some kind of understanding that what product need to be cheaper and what product need to be like much more higher price. The placement. We think that every normal people can buy stuff from huge superstores or in e-shops, but we have hundreds of countries and millions of people who are used to buy everything from the open markets. It's quite strange from the people who came from big cities and very urban cities, but in countrysides or in some old-fashioned countries and old-fashioned cities, that this kind of ancient open market are so popular. You need to understand that if you wanted to get to get the money from the customers, you need to understand that how they will use to buy it, how they use to purchase it, where is the place you can meet the customers. Not only every time you will meet in superstores, not only every customer who you need to catch it used to visit these kind of normal supermarkets. And of course, the biggest challenge is based on promotion. So can you reach the message to the customers? Can you understand what is the cultural behavior patterns? can you understand or can you be sure that the customer will understood your message as you think you will offering them, or perhaps you need to change something because this kind of how to say, well, in English it's that lost in translation could be one problem. You just translate your message directly to other language, but the meanings of this are absolutely different. And you can in next slides we will see that how the companies have failed in this reason. So basically, we can say that the model is so simple, and the answers are so simple, but the solutions are not so simple. You need to understand all these 4 aspects. Otherwise, you cannot be successful. And now we can shortly go on with the same examples I already mentioned, that you need to be very careful about the messages, about the product itself, and mainly, I would say mainly, the companies will fail. Not that the product is so popular or people perhaps don't buy it because they don't use this kind of product, but they will fail because the message or the campaigns are not only strange, but not only funny, but it would be bring some very serious problems. We will see it. We can see it in every time when some European, I don't know, newspapers or magazines, they like laugh about the Islamic culture, and that it's a huge mistake. You need to understand. Even the countries like here in Estonia, we perhaps not very happy when somebody's laughing about us or making some jokes about our nations. You need to be very careful. So, and what is the solution then? And I had one video where I showed that you need to not only asking from the customers. The only solution sometimes is you need to personally visit these markets, spend sometimes in them, even living a couple of months in here. Then perhaps you can understand the behavior and the expectation of the customers, and then you perhaps understood about this kind of cultural value and what is the main problems why perhaps you cannot be so successful. And sometimes it's not enough. You need to go directly to your customers and you need to ask from them, what do you think? Why you're not buying these or that things, and why you're buying these and that things? Marketers very much like to make some service, some questionnaire. They're sending through the internet and asking some questions about the customers. They're making some kind of focus groups and etc. Plus, they very much like to read some statistics and then analyzing them. Again, I said that don't mess with this. Go directly to chosen market and look at your own eyes how the customer is behaving. It's 100 times more profitable when you're just sitting at your chair and in your comfortable office and trying to analyze what statistical companies figured out how many customers buying things and this and that. You need to analyze the data, of course. Yeah, is it correct? But sometimes you cannot understand the behavior of the customers. You need to be in here. In Estonia, I not only every day but every week I will read some kind of funny analyzing and funny comments about them. The companies came from the people came from abroad and they like looking at open eyes. Why you using this product in these ways, or why you not like these kind of ways or these services? And then they like understood, okay, people like us, but behaving and the tradition are absolutely different. And I don't need to give very much understanding for you. You will see it in every day at yourself and your home countries as well. And sometimes it's in these people who will moving abroad, I don't know, for living, for studying, for working. The biggest challenge is not to like filtrate or assimilate to the local life. It's not a problem. In here, in Estonia, in different countries, people fluently can speak different languages. We looks like normal people. Okay, or the weather is a little bit bad from us, but the main challenge is how to understand some kind of like invisible patterns and invisible habits the everyday's life. And this could be sometimes much more harder, and you cannot read from the books or newspapers. You need to look at your own eyes, and this is like the most challenge of today's marketers, because everybody's wanted to focus on smaller and smaller target groups, and as smaller you're going, the more information you need to get. Previously, when the companies was huge, they sold the product all over the world in the same ways, in the same packages, even the same prices, because they knew that the people they expected in every place is the same product, because anything was missing. But now when we have more things and more products and more services, we need to buy it. The only way how the companies can go deeply inside us, they need to figure out what is inside of us, how we behave, and what is the expectation of our people. Okay, here is some written failures, some international marketing campaigns, and I have in here 5 examples. All of these are quite huge companies. My favorite is the first one. When I read about this, I don't know, about 20 years ago, and I still cannot understood, because I have been in these countries and I haven't been very much in Asia as well. So, but it's for me, it's very strange, like cultural pattern. And the problem was that Pepsodent tried to market the toothpaste. If you look at whatever commercial based on this kind of toothpaste, every of them, they showing the white and shiny teeth, how their toothpaste is cleaning and making some kind of best smilings. But in Asia, in some countries, the whitened teeth is not part of the culture. The local people, they making their teeth much more blackened because it's much more attractive in their culture. Here, I'm not added one example as well. I don't mention the countries, but the problem was that the perfume or fragrance company X, they launched some kind of new deodorant, and it was huge campaign all around the world. But in some countries, they failed. The ad was in usual way that you pushing the buttons, you refresh yourself, and the huge aroma goes with you. And then it was men's fragrance. And after that, the ladies and the girls are like going crazy. Yeah, they love so much for you, and they running about you. But what was the problem? The problem was that in this specific culture, it was like weakness of the man when the women will running up to you. These countries and these cultures, the strongest man and the real man is like hunter. He itself hunting ladies, not in opposite way. And it was so strange that nobody can figure out that what this could be the problem. The second and most problematic question is the names and like I said, the lost in translation, and perhaps one like a message or commercial slogan looks in one market in one ways and the other differently. There is some example of the Scandinavian manufacturer Electrolux, and their message was in the United States like nothing sucks like in Electrolux. Perhaps in Sweden, where the Electrolux came from, the message was quite correct, but something happened in translation, and then what will happen? Again, there was some kind of soft drink, and the slogan moves to absolutely different ways in Mexico, and it was quite not funny, but it was strange. And of course, Pepsi, who had made lots of failures parallelly with a huge success. And so one video shows us this example different times that it was huge problem on huge the best or the best in this period it was most known failures when the Pepsi used the slogan "Come alive with Pepsi," but translation was "Pepsi brings your ancestor back from death" in Asian country, in Taiwan and in China as well. So you can find lots of things like this. I know that some people, they're looking at every days and the ads all around the world, and they figured out what was the mistakes. It's the same like some people are spending their time to look at the movie mistakes. We can say that this is something happened in marketing area as well. So let's see some videos, and then perhaps we can shortly summarize what we have seen here.
Создайте свой бренд онлайн с красивым логотипом. Перейдите на Wix Logomaker. Hi guys! It happens so that even world-famous brands make ridiculous mistakes in their titles of their multi-million advertising campaigns. Who knows? Maybe they do that on purpose. Anyway, in today's episode, you will learn about 10 most bizarre and funny mistakes in branding history. There was this one time when Pepsi goofed it up on both German and Chinese markets. Their main slogan, "Come alive during the Pepsi generation," was very badly misinterpreted. The German version was quite funny and very reassuring. It urged people to rise from the grave together with Pepsi. Germans laughed at it and didn't seem to mind. But in case of Chinese consumers, it was more like scary than funny. It went like, "Pepsi will get your parents from the grave." American Airlines wanted more customers so badly, they decided to change their regular seats to leather ones. However, in Mexico, their campaign failed because of the silly slogan, "Fly in leather." In Spanish, "fly in leather" sounds like "vuela en cuero" and means "fly naked." Hey, why the hell not? Gerber decided they should supply Central Africa with their baby food products. Their corporate identity is the smiling baby face they feature in all their products. The popular majority of Central Africa can read, and that's why they always put condoms on the cover of the product. So Gerber markers failed to take into account that a child's face would seem weird, better yet creepy. I can only imagine people's faces when they were offered that cannibal baby food. Chevrolet Nova. Looks good, isn't it? Unfortunately, this beauty wasn't in demand in Spanish-speaking countries. And if Google is right, that's 23 countries. All because of its name. The thing is, in Spanish, Nova means not going. Get it? Not going. Who the hell would want to buy a car with a name like that? I wouldn't. And another big fail concerns Mazda and its car La Puta. I guess many of you already know what's the story there. Anyway, La Puta in Spanish means, well, that's what they call prostitutes. So I guess a lot of people found it to be a good enough reason not to buy La Puta. In 2009, Russian leading gas company Gazprom merged with Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, so they gave their joint venture a rather controversial name, NIGAS. NIGAS, as you already guessed, was the abbreviation of Nigeria and Gazprom. Quite a few people were shocked and outraged from what seemed to be more suitable for a Snoop Dogg's music video. As for me, I say let niggas be niggas. After a launching campaign in Asia, Coca-Cola noticed that their slogan sounds a bit weird in a few Chinese dialects. They came up with things like bite the tadpole and wax horse. After a while, they changed their slogan to something like the happiness in your mouth. And it goes like this.
可口可乐
There is a car called Chevrolet Aveo, and you can find one of these only in Russian-speaking countries. In the rest of the world, it's called Deu Kalos. Long story short, Kalos in Russian means shit. In the 1980s, some really weird diet candies appeared. Those were called AIDS. 1 year later, a first case of AIDS was detected. Although it spells a bit differently, it is pronounced the same. AIDS will help you lose weight, which is true in a way. Oh God. World-famous brand Bacardi also had problems with their squash called Pavian. They failed to take into account that what in French means chic and style, in many other languages translates simply as baboon. All right, that's all for now, guys. I'm really glad that you watched this video till the end. If you know anything
So that what will happen if you don't be very careful. But like the guy in his video mentioned at first, that perhaps sometimes these failures or mistakes are specifically made. And who knows? I don't remember right now any of these kind of campaigns where the marketers specifically design some kind of mistakes inside of the commercial. Here in Estonia, we had some examples when companies using specifically some strange pictures, or they mess the message that at first the people can think a little differently. I remember one campaign was called "Piss under the shower," pissing under the shower. Oh, it was huge feedback. Everybody's talking about this. The media was analyzing what is the point of this campaign. Is it saving water, or this is something about saving the ecosystem, or what was the main point of this? But it was very tricky that the message was specifically designed so remarkable. Everybody, even if it's not sound funny, then this sounds very crazy. What was the point? Point was that this was the campaign of the advertising company. They promoted themselves through these kind of funny, strange, and a little bit crazy messages. And you will find, if you look at in the internet, different these kind of types of commercials. But talking about some international or some kind of huge specific design mistakes, I don't remember right now, but perhaps I had figured out very carefully as well. Okay, let's look another video.
After 30 days, I could not believe my before and after picture. I literally rolled back the hands of time.
Hey, Owen here, bringing you a list of 7 international marketing fails. What I mean by this is when companies try and translate their slogans into a different language and it doesn't turn out as they want it to. International marketing fail number 1. When Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, opened their first restaurant in China in 1987, they accidentally translated their slogan from finger licking good into a rather embarrassing, we'll eat your fingers off. Fail number 2 comes from Pepsi. The mistake also happened when Pepsi entered China. Their slogan was, Pepsi brings you back to life. However, this was terribly translated into, Pepsi brings your ancestors back from the grave. Horrifying. Fail number 3 comes from Parker Pens. When the pens went on sale in Mexico, the famous slogan, it won't leak in your pocket and embarrass you, was translated into Spanish as, it won't leak in your pocket and make you pregnant. Fail number 4, the US beer company Coors translated their slogan, turn it loose, into Spanish. This translated horribly into suffer from diarrhea. Probably not what you want on a beer. Fail number 5 comes from Coca-Cola. The Coca-Cola name in China was first read as Kikukila, and depending on the dialect, it either meant bite the wax tadpole or female horse stuffed with wax. Languages. Marketing fail number 6. Schweppes ran an Italian ad for Schweppes tonic water. However, Schweppes tonic water was translated into a less satisfying Schweppes toilet. Marketing fail number 7. In 1977, Braniff Airways advertised their leather seats in their first-class cabin with the slogan, fly in leather. This was then translated into Spanish as fly naked. How awkward would that be? You're just like sitting there in your airplane seat, you look left. Well, those have been 7 international marketing fails. Thanks for watching this video.
Okay, this was one guy I told about whose everyday job is look at all these, watching all these videos and find some NFLers, but it's quite popular among these guys. So, okay, the next video.
In 1977, I met a French chef. He said to me, cooks cook.
Starbucks has coffee shops all over the world. There are more than 28,000 locations in 76 markets, from Shanghai to Guantanamo Bay. And in China, a new Starbucks location opens up every 15 hours. But there is one continent that seems uninterested in the hype over the Seattle-based coffee chain. And that continent is Australia. It's proven to be one of the toughest markets in the world to break into. So tough, in fact, that Starbucks closed more than 2/3 of its stores on the continent back in 2008. So what went so wrong with Starbucks in Australia? To answer that, let's go back to July of 2000, when Starbucks opened its first Australian shop in Sydney. From there, it expanded fast. By 2008, Starbucks had 87 stores across the continent.
I think one of the problems for Starbucks, and it's true for a lot of businesses that have been successful in one country, is that they thought that their business model could just roll out to a different environment and there was no need for them to adjust.
But that was the problem. It tried to grow the empire too fast. Starbucks rapidly opened up multiple locations instead of slowly integrating them into the Australian market.
When they launched too rapidly and didn't give the Australian consumer an opportunity to really develop an appetite for the Starbucks brand. They also moved into regional areas, into outer suburbs of major cities. And so for the Australian consumer, it was almost like it was too available for them. And so there wasn't this point of difference, this want, this need for Starbucks, and it wasn't an organic growth, which is what we very much saw in the US.
In its first 7 years in Australia, Starbucks accumulated $105 million in losses. By 2007, Starbucks Australia was hanging on by a thread, taking big loans from the US, totaling up to $54 million. And in 2008, Starbucks announced it was shutting down 61 stores. But of course, 2008 was a difficult time for businesses due to the financial crisis. Along with the Australia closures, Starbucks also closed 600 underperforming American stores. But even still, such a retreat in Australia was embarrassing for the brand.
When you're shutting down 75 stores, for the Australian consumer, when they did leave the market, or at least a large number of their stores were shut down, they didn't really care.
It's partly because Australians are spoiled for choice when it comes to coffee. Australia's coffee market is one of the biggest in the world. The industry is expected to hit more than $6 billion in total revenue in 2018. They've been immersed in nuances of cafe culture since the mid-1900s, when Italian and Greek immigrants began traveling to the country. The immigrants introduced Australians to espresso. By the 1980s, Australians were fully engulfed in cafe culture. They've also grown accustomed to specialty menu items, like a flat white or an Australian macchiato.
So cafes in Australia were born out of like the Italian culture of, meeting a friend, and knowing your local barista and it being kind of like a local meeting place where everyone knew each other, and that coffee was just a part of that. And then Starbucks came in with what is more of an American style like coffee culture, which is essentially just like coffee is a product, coffee is a commodity, coffee is like perk me up in the morning. It's caffeination.
Starbucks had a basic menu and offered more sugary drinks, which most Australians didn't like.
In Australia, where local tastes are different, so we don't really want a coffee that's hundreds of ounces with lots of sugar in it. We want something a bit more sophisticated.
Plus, Starbucks charged more than local cafes. So Australians instead opted to pay less for coffee they liked from a local barista they trusted.
And so when you come in with this big like, hey, we're going to open all these cafes and they're all going to be to-go focused, it just was the complete wrong market for what the Australian was used to.
But there's one American coffee company that's thriving in Australia. Founded in Chicago and now based in Australia, Gloria Jean's got the traction in Australia that Starbucks couldn't. Gloria Jean's has more than 400 Australian locations and serves more than 35 million consumers in Australia each year. So what is Gloria Jean's doing in Australia that Starbucks isn't? Well, the company attributes success to two Australians who franchised the business in their home country. Shops started to show up in Australia in 1996. Fast forward to today, the company has a presence in every Australian state. The reason? Its menu. The chain offers a wide variety of espresso drinks and specialty coffee. Failing to adapt its menu to Australians' coffee culture proved to be a mistake for Starbucks. And the company faces another challenge later this year: Italy. Starbucks is opening its first store in Milan in late 2018. Home of the espresso, Italy is rich in cafe culture. But according to Starbucks, it's not going to make the same mistakes that it did in Australia. The company said that it would develop in Italy with humility and respect for its coffee culture. It announced it would be opening a roastery, which is not your average cafe. It gives customers a chance to see coffee beans roasted and processed before their eyes. So there's a chance that it won't struggle like it did in Australia. But Starbucks isn't admitting defeat in Australia either. Starbucks is staging a comeback on the continent. In 2014, Starbucks locations in Australia were purchased by the Mount Waverley-based Withers Group. Starbucks told CNBC that since its sale to the Withers Group, the company learned a lot. So this time, it's taking a different approach to putting Starbucks on the continent.
So if you just think about Australia as a big tourism destination, there's a lot of US and Chinese tourists. Starbucks have been very successful in China, and it makes a lot of sense for them to build out because there are people looking for something that's familiar to them.
Now with 39 locations in Brisbane, Melbourne, the Gold Coast, and Sydney areas, this time it's not looking to appeal to Australians. But instead, the coffee giant hopes to be a familiar face for tourists visiting popular vacation destinations in Australia.
Australia's always been a high volume tourist market. The same thing in terms of international students at our universities, potential opportunities for them. And we're starting to see Starbucks enter into some large shopping malls here in Australia as well.
Australia welcomed 9 million tourists from 2017 to 2018. And those international visitors spent more than $30 billion in 2017 alone. So tourists could possibly be the key to keeping the company afloat and preventing another downfall.
So this was one of the best examples why companies
need a professional website.
Why companies will fail, and when we're talking about this famous brand like Starbucks, then everybody can understand, and perhaps all of you, if you even not taste it, then you will have seen this kind of logotype and the name and know this their business model. And this video showed us that you need to respect the local culture. You need to respect how the people are used to consume your competitor product or services. Otherwise, you cannot be successful. And especially when we're talking about some rich culture or the ancient cultures, countries, they used to purchase the products absolutely differently. Every time when I'm looking these kind of videos with the famous brands, then I compare with our situation here in Estonia, and unfortunately we don't have Starbucks in here. And it's strange because we are quite normal coffee drinkers, and we like to take these cup of the coffee with our when we're walking in streets or going to, I don't know, to our workplace. But I guess that our market is so small that I guess that in Latvia and Lithuania they missing as well the Starbucks brand. And I have heard a little bit about that. Somebody had talking about, is it possible that Starbucks will come here and not the visible future? I guess that we are so small that we are not interesting market from them. It's strange because I have met the Starbucks, even the smallest place in different countries. The countryside cities, the small universities, even the small kiosk in some Danish university against Starbucks, and we don't have it here. It doesn't mean that I'm so much missing them, but it's strange that we are quite, let's say, successful country if we compare with us in the top countries all around the world. But yeah, I guess we are so small. And I think that brands like Starbucks and other, they very carefully looking at the success of the other franchises which have already opened their branches here in Estonia. We have here Burger King, KFC, McDonald's, Subway, and I guess that all of them are not very successful because we are not very much fast food eaters, and we don't like very much this fast food burgers or sandwiches or I don't know, things like this. First couple of months, this new opening for the KFC or McDonald's, huge popular. Oh, everybody's running to buying these things, and after that, everything is like wet, and nobody is interested about what was the KFC or Burger King. And what will happening? I guess that the Starbucks is looking in very carefully, and they afraid that perhaps we are a small country and our habits are a little bit different. But who knows? Yeah. So in summarize, this was quite good example. What you need to do in different, and what you need to take account if you would like to come another country and thinking that our product is quite okay, and this is not very something very strange will happen. But yeah, this what could be happened if you not accept the local people habits and local culture. So the final example I would like to show is one way how and why the company designing or redesigning their products and the brands in the new markets. I already perhaps gave you some examples why the companies need to change their logotypes or why they need to change the names of their brand. Repeat it, and if you repeat, I repeat that it means that the main reason is at first the name of the company is very strange if you try to pronounce them in other languages, or perhaps it's not very common name, or it's very strange, or it's funny, or even it's like we saw in the videos, it sounds not very politely. The other possible option is that perhaps you redesigning your own company, and you need to rebrand your company, and you need to new name. The third option is that sometimes the like how to say brand feelings and the prestige or something like this is not very high in specific country. and you need to think a different name, because if you go to abroad with the names of your brands, perhaps the customers are not feeling or thinking very politely or very positively about your products and your company as well. If you change your name, perhaps you can trick it that customers are thinking that, oh, this is perhaps new brand or new company. And there is other reason why companies will change their logotypes. And here is written 5 main reasons why companies need to change their logotype. And it consists examples like this kind of name already recorded. This could be one problem that that you need to understand, that perhaps local company or local competitor already had a similar name. One option is always to buy the company and close the competitor. But if you cannot do it, or they are not accepted your offer, then you need to change your name or change something. Then the second one is that the competitor is already designed your name once, and you need to understand that again. This could be a huge problem. You cannot go to this market, and if you have not registered your trademark, then you cannot do nothing about it. Then you need to rebrand your product if you merge with competitors or with another companies, like we saw in this Gazprom and Nigeria oil company. And if you merge with local company, then it's politely to redesign absolutely new brand. Sometimes the local brand are so familiar and so well known for the local people, and if you change it, then perhaps you lose your local customers, and then it's probably one option to stay the same name and nothing changing. The other option is that you redesigning or something making differently, so you can add your own elements from your logotype and remains the older logotype. The question is, what will happening if some huge or large competitor will buy the local brand? Are they need to change their logotype, or an opposite way? Perhaps it's a rule that you need to you need to remain the same brands. What I have seen and understood that if you are huge and a multinational company, then your brand is perhaps much more successful and much more well known than the local. And if you change it, nothing will happen. People are they a little bit using the older name, but then after a couple of years, nobody exactly remembered what was the previous name, and they used to use a new brand. But if the buyer is not very well known and not so big company, then perhaps it's comfortable and the best way that you will remain the same brand. We are in Estonia have a couple of examples or even lots of examples. First part of the examples is based on banks. Mostly the bigger banks here in Estonia belongs to Swedish and Finnish companies or Danish companies as well. And all of them had changed the name. So previously we had our own bank names. Now we had Swedbank, SEB, and Danske, and etc. And it was 10-15 years ago when they bought our banks and changed the names. Okay, I am the older guy, I'm using the older name, but younger people, they even don't remember if you say the older name. But sometimes the name changing or the brand changing is comes from not in the local market, but the deal was made in over our head. Let's take for example of the Statoil. Statoil is not only oil seller, but was the retail gas seller as well. Statoil was here in Estonian market, market leader of the gas stations, but now they sold their this retail business to huge Canadian company called Circle K, or Circle K, and now everybody is seeing the Circle K logo, but I know that most of the people are using still the Statoil name. But in opposite way, Estonia's famous brand, if you looking the famous brand in Estonia, if you're asking from the people what is the famous brand in Estonia, and perhaps during all the time when the question we have made is our candy maker Kalev. It's the best known brand in Estonia. Everybody will love them, and this is our candy maker. I will show the logotype. This is the logotype of the brand name Kalev. It's our old historic hero, and their candies are very, very good. It's one of the popular candies in here. I guess that the competitors are not very much successful, but owner of this Kalev is a Norwegian company called Orkla. They're using the name of the Orkla only this company official name, but the brands are still like Kalev and other these things. Okay, in one way it's normal in retail business. Usually every companies are doing the same way, like Procter & Gamble is perhaps the best example. But the other problem is that if you change the name of the Kalev, it would be a huge problem. I don't know how much the people stopped eating candies, but I guess that this is too much to our customers. So not every time, not a good idea to change the names. If you think that you are not so successful, you're not too good, and you will buy the best brand in local countries, perhaps you need to think about, would you like to change the name or not? Double meaning is, like I said, is one problem, is that the meaning of your brand or your product is not sometimes very politely. It sounds weird, it sounds strange, it sounds funny, and it's quite usual practice that you can visit. Sorry, who is talking in here? You will see that the product is familiar, but the name is absolutely different. And sometimes companies are like designing their product especially a little bit and changing the logotype focused on the countries they will going on. Here is the example that in every countries, not every, but they changing their logotype based on the country they will selling their products. Here in this Algida, I even know what they're selling. I guess that's something ice cream or things like this. And here in Estonia, they use this kind of logotype, but basically I never saw this logo and I don't know what they're selling. And you can see again these examples, hundreds of them. So, in summarize, the problems of international marketing, we face of these challenges is that you need to carefully focus on local habits, the customers' expectations. You need to respect these cultural patterns, and only the biggest companies can allow them that perhaps they not need to change their ways how they will market their products or services. And you need to understand that the failures could come very easily, and like we saw through these videos, even the biggest one and the smartest one can make mistakes. So in the future, perhaps if you look at carefully around your everyday life, you will see and you can analyze, and perhaps you will remember that why some companies are not so successful, or what mistakes they will make in your home countries when they're leaving. Here in Estonia, my one goal was sometimes that I try to analyze why some successful companies are failed here in Estonia. I never asked from them, of course, but I try to figure out what was the mistake. Are they don't respect our culture, or are their product not comfortable to our everyday purchasing behaviors, and or was some kind of other mistakes? I don't know, but it's interesting to analyze, and sometimes you can understood that if they perhaps had changed something during their marketing campaign, perhaps they would be quite successful since today. This was our last topics, what I added to our course materials. And now I would like to go shortly through our course to a little bit remember what we had talked and what you need to remember for the exam test as well. And as I added some questions and some themes about the exam, then I will just shortly and quickly focusing what you need to remember, or what could be the important aspects and important theories we had talked through this semester. We started with the introduction of what international business is. We started from mercantilism, and then we discussed how the international business have changed during the centuries. And our interest was that what was the first theories, how the international companies will rise and why they started growing, and what was their goal if they was going in international markets. And we discussed about why companies are so carefully looking at the going abroad. What was their goals? Was there only economical issues, or they expected something more? So we started with the simple questions: why international marketing, what it means, and why the company is going abroad. And then we looking closely what international community or all the world will wins if the companies are international and selling the product and service internationally. And this was the slide where was written this needs for foreign trade, and the main summary was that always is something which is good for all of us, and something which is making some kind of problems as well. The good things was that we can buy more things we would like to buy. Prices is getting more equally. We all hope that international trade will raise the standard, living standard of our peoples, and etc. And the criticize and the problems was at first that local culture will lose lots of about this. Local companies will lose something about this. The pollution, the ecological problems, and things like this. Also, the money laundering, terrorism, immigration. All this is like the results. One results and came from the internationalization as well. Then we shortly stayed on the drivers why the company is going internationally, and of course we defined what is the international company itself means. The meaning was that if the company had represented additionally in one country, additionally from over their own market, then we can say that this is international company itself. And meaning was that it doesn't need only that you're selling something in abroad. If you're looking for labor force, or if you try to find some additional resources, or you're using some kind of cooperational companies, you're making some kind of cooperation, or you using the other countries like based on logistical ways, then all these details meanings that you are international company. So this was like the introduction, started from the history, and we tried to figure out why company will go abroad and what is the expectations, and how we can define this internationalization. Perhaps the most not critical but the hardest part is consisted the theories. I will see what theories is not in here. Okay, I will go on with this. Okay, then we analyze the global risks. This is also quite important, and the risk is like based on two ways and two looks. At first, we're looking at risks in like company's view, and the other risk group was what the risk is globally. But in here, we focused on the company's risks and what the organization will carry on, what risks the companies are staying faced of this, and how they can manage these kind of risks. And then again, we discussed about the relationship with the international company and the world economy, and then we focused on some theories. And the first theory was international trade theory. There was two most important aspects, that was positivistic and normative theory. First of these was focusing on the only the business itself, the trading's development, and the positivist theory will focus on only the economical aspects. And the normative theory, in other side, was taking account all these kind of welfare, social, economical issues, and things like this. Then we shortly look at different levels or layers of the world economy. We understood that we have at least 200 countries, but we can divide it, all the world, in different parts. We used to say that there are three huge economies. It's America and United States, the Europe and the Asia. But if you look a little bit more closely, then we'll see that we need to take account Australia, Southern America, Africa, and of course Russia as well. And all these kind of different parts, they carry out their own issues, their own problems, and their risks. But we need to understand that if we would like to live better and not close our world, we need to accept that some of these forces, these economic forces, they are very aggressively, but if you can manage them, you can use the benefits which you will get from them. The second theory, or not the theory, but the like strategy view of the internationalization was based on how the companies are going to abroad. And at first, we look at the horizontal and vertical strategy. This is describing how the companies are going to another countries. And the second part was, okay, if we're taking the horizontal or vertical strategy, then the second question was, what is the major methods how the companies are going to abroad? And we will see that there is 4 major methods. It was exporting, licensing and franchising, joint ventures, and finally the direct investment, which we also call the greenfield strategy. So like at first we can see that there is a different theories which describing the why and how the companies are going to abroad, why the internationalization is taking in real life taking place, how we can describe this historical view. It was 2 main or 3 main theories. What I mentioned, I will see, is it in the slides as well? Just a second. Perhaps in here, in the topics of 3. Here we discussed more about these theories. The first was mercantilism, but the mercantilism is the older and ancient theory. Usually we don't talk about this anymore. It's like just a part of the mid-age history. But right now in modern time, mostly if somebody is describing and analyzing in theoretical view of the multinational view and the global business, they will start with absolute and relative advantage theory. Then sometimes we can describe that or take account that one way how to analyze or describing the internationalization process is through this product life cycle theory. Not very much common, but the mentioned theory was trade and anti-trade strategy. Then shortly I introduced the Max Gordon theory, but I know that I mentioned also the Ronald Coase company theory, and this is one question as well I would like to ask from you in the tests. Then we quite huge part or the bigger part of our course focused on these different aspects you need to take account if the companies are going to abroad, and usually these aspects will divide it for the 4th part is political, economical, social, cultural, and sometimes even academical aspects, and what you need to understand and remember why these 4 parts are so important, and what is like the description of all these 4 parts. And perhaps the most important group of the aspects was the social cultural aspects, because like I said, that the political and economical information you will get easily from internet or with this just discussing and meeting with your potential cooperation part. But if you look closer to this social or cultural aspects, like we saw through these videos, that this needs to be more careful, more going deeply to inside this society when you're planning to go, and you need to figure out how, why, and why not the local people is behaving as they're behaving, and why they're consuming what they're consuming, and then things like this. So it's not like my personal interest going deeply to these cultural aspects, but I will say that it's much more interesting and much more rich about these examples. And as we know that every country is so different from each other, and the people are behaving differently. This is much more interesting. And if I'm going to, like, as a tourist or sometimes as a worker in abroad, then one of my issue is that I try to figure out and look at carefully how the local people are living and what is their lifestyle, life habits, and then it's very, very interesting. And you get to know much more if you just looking at open eyes and discussing, talking with the people. And finally, we had the same slides as we just finished, and this focus on this international marketing, which is the final, as we say, it's final result. And if everything is done, the product is done, the strategy is finished, then the final step is how to go physically to the new market. And usually we're using the marketing tools, the marketing mix, the communications and everything like this to finally realize our issue that we are here, we're selling the product, and we need to understand that our success or failure depends how deeply we know the local, this kind of cultural social habits. So basically all these exam questions are almost the same based on these, like I said, based on this these slides and the articles. And if you cannot find something, or you didn't catch the exact point, I opened this exam review and okay, Anna already put the test, good. Let me see, can I see it? I guess I can see it. And as I promised you, during the next 2 weeks, I'm carefully looking 2-3 times in the week what you have put in here, and if you had some specific question for me, I will absolutely immediately try to answer from you. And also you can write direct from me, but I guess that if your question is so interesting, perhaps the other people can get the point as well. So try to use this Moodle test. What I can say for today, as we had one more meeting ahead, that it was quite tough course from me. Okay, everybody's from us not used to live only through this computer life. And since the coronavirus started in March, in half years ago, then at first was like very interesting and it was like very, how to say, exciting experiment. But it lasted only 1 month maximum. After that, I was so tired about this internet and this computer. I look at the way how to see the real people, but unfortunately, I remember that when I started from the March and to the end of the semester, the spring semester, I only perhaps once during 3 months I visited university. So I saw most of the students or listen only through this Zoom. And now in this autumn semester, we all hope that we can see each other in face-to-face. And I am the lecturer who feeling much more comfortable myself when I'm seeing the real people in real life. I can discuss more and more with you. Here, through this Zoom, I know exactly when I'm not the talking person but those who are listening. Of course, I'm laying in my sofa or doing some 10 different things, and that's why I'm not very much active as well in Zoom. I'm not asking very much, as students will do the same, and it's very hard for me and very tough experience for me to day by day, every day, speaking and talking and showing some things through this Zoom. So this was like the how to say, the bad things. And if I have a chance to get the chance to get to study to international students, in every semester I have at least one group. Usually I meet them face to face, and it's very interesting for me too. I'm very excited about international students because it opens my eyes as well, and I will learn lots of with you. But who knows what will happen in the future? Unfortunately, we don't get the chance to see each other in real life, and this is I'm not very happy, let's say. I don't know what you're thinking about or how you used to study through these, I don't know, internet channels. I'm not very happy, but it's let's say that we need to accept the conditions and the situation right now. Perhaps this is like officially all right now. Do you have questions or comments for me?
No questions, just a big thank you from my side for organizing very well in this tough situation and not stopping teaching. So just thank you.
I'm very happy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. My only hope is that you had learned something, at least something about what we have talked in here, and I'm very much hoping that you remember that was some kind of strange course we talked about what international businesses is. So of course I know that after the last meeting, everybody will forget what was talking about. It's like normal student life. You need to focus on other courses and another semester. But I really hope that you will remember something, and perhaps you can choose me as a supervisor as well if you would like to. I'm very happy to teach you in the near future as well. So if you think that I can help you in somehow and some way your final thesis, then I'm open from your proposal as well. So, but we are not finished yet. We will meet even one times more. So let's then agree that, like I said, here is the questions and here is the topics of the exam. I will expect some questions or some kind of remarks and comments, and I really try to answer from you as well as soon as possible. And for the next 2 weeks, I then hope you will study a little bit, and everybody who tried to make the test, you will pass in the first time. So nobody will need to repeat it. Okay? Then finally, thank you, and stay healthy as you. That's right. Thank you. And see you next time. Hopefully finally in this course. Thank you and bye.